Melissa, you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. I will say this. Nick actually founded Ghost Adventures. I'm not defending Nick by any means by saying this. I know this. And it was started as a documentary. He owned 51% when it got popular. And his dad is an attorney. So there's no way his dad was going to let him get screwed out of his share of something he created. Nick actually brought Zak on. Zak was a wedding DJ. And Nick wasn't really comfortable being on the front lines the way that Zak was. Zak is a show pony and it fit him. So they kind of fell into those roles. When they kind of had their falling out, Nick was able to kind of walk away a winner in a way because I know that Zak bought out that percentage that Nick owned above him. I can't really get into how I know all this, but I do know it. As far as him cheating on his wife, I don't know a ton about that. I've never heard that, and I know people very close to him that sometimes were angry with him, and I feel like they would have expressed that to me had that been actually happening. They would have said that about Nick. I do know that him and his wife were sweethearts since the 6th grade, and maybe they married too young, what have you, but he was fairly enamored with his wife for quite a while. Nick Groff wrote a book, and it talks about meeting her in the 6th grade. And from what I understand, and this is not a secret, this was on social media a while back on Instagram, Tessa Groff, who I don't know if she legally goes by Tessa Groff, but that's her social media. She posted live footage of harassing Nick's ex. I don't know if her name is pronounced Veronica or Veronique. It's French spelling. Trying to call social services on the kids, and Nick's ex was really confused, and it looked like a shit show. And she posted this live on her Instagram. I don't know if it's been taken down, but I'm sure someone digged enough they could find it. It was in the past year. I think at the beginning of the year that happened. I know for a fact that back in the day when they first started to gain fame, they played a little game where they invented their own kind of, and it was probably pretty primitive back in those days. They invented an app that they all shared on their phone to keep track of basically groupies that they nailed. So there was a lot of shenanigans going on. I never really heard about Nick being a big part of that. So that's kind of shocking. From what I know of Nick, I've not heard this. I'm not saying that's not true. I've just not heard this. And I know a lot of people, so I've not heard that he was messing around. I had heard for years that him and his ex-wife were having problems, and that was way before Tessa entered the picture. I think Tessa kind of blew in like a tumbleweed. She came out of nowhere and really became his identity. They kind of both needed each other, it looked like, because they clung to each other. And she, obviously has convinced him to do things. He had a great platform doing Death Walker. I believe it was Death Walker on YouTube and various other streaming platforms. She convinced him to take the fan base over to OnlyFans. And I know they had a lot of fan backlash on it. I sat and read it. People are like, no, I don't even want that on my credit card statement. Like, you're crazy if you think we're going to subscribe to your OnlyFans. So there's that. I just wanted to clarify a few things that I knew were a little bit different. I also know that at the time that Zak and Nick initially started having their falling out, and it's not a secret, you can watch it through the various seasons of Ghost Adventures. You can see at the point where they start to get famous, and you start to see Zak change a little bit. He kind of looks waxy and gray, and he is kind of easily irritable. There was a lot of talk about steroid use. So he was kind of having that roid rage, and the fame and everything kind of took over. He started being irritated about every little thing. He hated that Nick owned more of the show than him, even though it was Nick's brainchild. Eventually, they came to a falling out in that sense. It wasn't about like, oh, he was mad that Nick was cheating on his wife. That really wasn't what I understand from very credible sources. So I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in on that. And like I said, it's all hearsay.
Like,
I kind of feel for you. You're caught up in a whirlwind. You were just going on to read a few things, and it literally hit the fan.
Feels like it's gonna, like, so much information, so many people coming out, and here's everybody trying to save face right away while I'm streaming. It's like, I guess I have a bigger impact than I realized.
Well, and that should let you know too. Like, you know, some videos might get thousands of views, some might only get a couple hundred, but you're definitely striking a nerve. So it's something to be proud of in a way. You're about exposing the truth on things, and that just proves you're doing what you set out to do.
All right, Melissa, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you, and we'll talk.
Of course.
We'll talk later, and you have a wonderful night. Okay.